into some theories and predictions to get started before it starts to air. So let's go ahead and get into it. So for my first theory video, I want to discuss the Antler Queen. We get first introduced to her in the first episode in season 1. We see the Antler Queen is watching Misty walk toward her before they eat the pit girl. And also they parallel this with when Nat is hallucinating in front of her friends. She can see Misty standing near the woods watching her. And then it cuts to the Antler Queen and Misty is walking in front of her about to put down some food, and the rest of the girls start to eat. And it looks like they're doing some kind of ritual as well. And for the most part, throughout the first season, it's believed that Lottie is the Antler Queen. And that changes until we get to the second season. And as we see her carrying the meat tray in the past timeline, it cuts to the present day Misty, and we see her walking down the hallway with the food tray of where she works at as well. So they definitely are using all of these scenes to try to tell us something. But is the Antler Queen even real? We also see in the same scene, she is the only one that does not grab the food to eat. And if it is one of them, she is the queen, and wouldn't she be the first one to eat out of all of them? But what if the Antler Queen is some type of supernatural being like a ghost or something else? I think this spirit is guiding them, and that's how they survived being stranded in the woods over the time they've been there. But if it's some sort of supernatural being, what could it be? So in doing some research on this, I found some really cool connection in Slavic folklore. There is a witch called Baba Yaga that lives in huts in the forest, just like the one that we see in the show. But unlike the show, they have chicken legs that they use to carry around the hut and also to stand on. But she captures, cooks, and eats her human victims, and they are usually children. But depending on the story, she can be cannibalistic or a powerful helper. And it also says that she can control the weather and even animals. So was she the one who brought the snow in season 1? Or was she the reason that the cabin was caught on fire and destroyed? And we know Van gets attacked by the wolves. Was she commanding those wolves? And I will say it coincidentally happened at the same time Tayshia decided to leave and look for help. And also it says about the Baba Yaga that she travels in a mortar and pushes herself with a pestle. Furthermore, it says she represents the untamable nature of the female spirit and even Mother Earth as well. So instantly we can see the connections with the Baba Yaga and what we can see going on in the 1996 timeline of Yellowjackets. But we know throughout the season a lot of crazy things, like in episode 4 of the first season when Natalie is having a nightmare of the plane crash. Her dad is there and he tells her, "What are you so scared of? You already have blood on your hands." And then he says, "We're almost there. It's been waiting for us." So if it is a Baba Yaga, then this was a time that it communicated to her in her dreams. And it is said that the Baba Yaga is some sort of a trickster as well. So maybe it is the one that is tricking them into thinking that their friends are alive, like Jackie and with Aquila with her mouse. But ultimately, I don't think the Antler Queen is real. I think something that they have embodied mentally to help them survive in the wilderness for all the time that they were there. I don't think of the Antler Queen as being a real person, but a title or even a entity, like how it is for them when they're going crazy running around the woods. They are embodying that spirit of the nature and their bestial side. Let's focus on the symbol that we see throughout the seasons. It's a pretty unique looking symbol, but it at least looks like it's maybe a female figure with a hook on the bottom of them and a spear or something similar that is going through their chest. And it looks like they're upside down as well, hence the hook being on the bottom of them. It looks like it might be strung up like how you would hang a deer or game after hunting to drain the blood from them. And we see it in the floor of the attic where the skeleton sits in the hut that they lived in for a while. We also see the symbol when Jackie covers them during the seance, and we see Lottie is almost attacked and possessed by something after that. And also Lottie and Natalie are talking about the symbol, and Natalie thinks that it's evil, and Lottie says that she doesn't think it's evil, and everything that she sees doesn't mean to be evil. She thinks that it is a sign of protection or something along the lines of that. But there are various times that we see it in the present timeline as well. But the one that stands out the most to me is when we see Lottie and her cult at the compound. A lot of them are wearing a pendant with the symbol on it. And also we can see a overview shot of the compound, and there is a giant symbol like marked into the ground. And Tayshia has a interesting look on the symbol as well. She sees it a lot whenever she's in her other form, like the dark version of her, and she always chases them down in that form as well. Her and Van map them out every night when she goes to look for them as well, and she says that she is led by the man in the attic to them as well, the one who does not have eyes. But once her and Van maps all the trees out, they make the symbol the same shape that the symbol is, so that is a little interesting as well. And at the top of the symbol, the last tree that they find is just a little stump, and that is where they find Javi as well. So what could the symbol even mean, or what is it? Well, at first thought, I thought it could have been a marker to show that the forest that they're in is a hunting ground, and kind of like a marker territory. They are showing that people hunt here, and maybe even like cannibals live there as well. And the one who I think put all these symbols here is probably the man in the attic, is because we can see the symbol carved right in front of him when they see him for the first time as well. Or the symbol could be a mark of territory. Like in my last video, I talked about how the forest could be overseen by a Baba Yaga, or even protected by Persephone or Artemis. We talked about as well that maybe the Yellowjackets could be bee priestess, or Melissa is another name for them as well. But they worship Persephone, and they were a cult, and they did some of the things that we see in the show, not the killing or anything like that, but also their symbols were a bee as well. And the man in the attic actually could have put it everywhere to ward off evil, knowing that this land is protected by Persephone, so he then could have been a worshiper back in the day and put it everywhere to ward off evil, to protect his land, and also to bless it as well. And that can explain why they always are being sent food, like the dead birds when they fell on the roof when the symbol was shown, and also when the bear just walks up to Lottie to offer itself up. And maybe the modern day Lottie, her cult could be the cult of Persephone fully realized. And I did talk about in my previous video how the Yellowjackets in the past timeline, they could be unknowingly worshiping Persephone, and that's why they were able to survive for as long as they did and get back to the civilization. And also the symbol could actually just be a bee or a Yellowjacket, and that could be the reason why Lottie has that symbol, because it is actually what the cult of Persephone called themselves as well. Also, the symbol could have a connection to death as well. When someone is about to die or has died in the show, we do see the symbol as well. And a couple examples are when Coach Martinez died on top of the tree, and we see the symbol there, and the symbol also kind of resembles exactly what we see here with Coach Martinez's death. And also we see it when Jackie is dying. She sees it in front of the man in the attic. And also we see it when Lottie gives Shauna the blanket for her baby, and her baby comes out as stillborn as well. And there are more examples of that, and I don't really know what it could mean either. But what do you all think that it could mean though? I will say, I think the most intriguing parts of Yellowjackets is this symbol. It has a lot of mystery and intrigue behind it for me. There's really no answers to go on just yet of what it could be. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking into some more mythology connections in Yellowjackets, and after doing a little bit of research on Yellowjackets and rewatching some episodes in season 1, and if you see my previous video, we know that Yellowjackets has some connections to mythologies and folklore and stuff like that. But today I wanted to talk about how the girls throughout the show might actually be unknowingly worshipping Persephone, and she is a Greek goddess. So let's go ahead and get into it. But throughout the show, they have ritualistic ceremonies while they are feeding, and also we see it happening during Doomcoming when they are tripping on the hallucinogenic mushrooms that Missy prepared. But the cult in Greek mythology is known as the Melissae, which translates to bee, as in the flying insect, but which is very, very close to a Yellowjacket. But when researching about these mysteries, and mysteries is what the cult called like their rites and ceremonies and stuff like that, but they said they are generally open to all, but mainly the bees or the Melissae, and they are a group of priestesses that have lived their life secluded from men. And as I said earlier, they are also worshippers of Persephone, but the term comes from a nymph named Melissa, and she was the one who found honey and taught it to the world. And real quick, a nymph is a female nature deity in Greek mythology. They are usually identified as personifications of nature. To be able to join the priestess in their mysteries, they had to be freed from blood guilt, meaning never had committed murder. And we know they haven't done that in the past timeline in the show. All the deaths that we've seen have been like from side effects or consequences from tragic events or just other mishappenings. No one has actually like murdered someone in the show, at least in the past timeline. We do see it in the present timeline with Shauna. And also it included in the mysteries the use of psychotic inducing drugs to be initiated into the cult. And we see them do that both in the old timeline and the present one. I do think Lottie has a better understanding on what could be going on as well, and I mean the older Lottie. She has a lot of visions of seeing a lot of weird things, like when she sees the beehive and the dead bees are on top of it, and she pulls out the honeycomb and it's covered in blood. But also what I think that started it all for them is when they ate Jackie. It says that in some rites in the cult of Persephone, they had a rite called the Feast of the Divine Child, and it says that their mysteries are always centered around life and death and rebirth as well. And also the mysteries are the rituals that they would do. Just to clarify again, it is said that the ceremonies were kept secret due to the sense that they involve visions of the afterlife, and even some scholars say that the power and the reason that the ceremonies lasted for so long is because of the hallucinogenic drugs that they took as part of it. But season 2, it seems the characters are still being haunted by the entity, the dark forces that we see in the first season. But I do think that something is protecting them from whatever has a hold on the force, and when they started to unknowingly worship Persephone, that's when they were able to survive as long as they did. But who even is Persephone, you might ask? Well, she is a goddess in the Greek mythology as well. She's the queen of the underworld, but the goddess of spring, fertility, and love, and even growth are all of her titles. And after titling the title the queen of the underworld, she also became heavily associated with ghosts and reincarnation. And when it was wintertime in the show, it could have meant that her hold was weakening, or she was gone for a little while, as it's stated when she leaves, that's when winter starts in Greek mythology. But Natalie is unique in this case and all of this as well, because she was the hunter of the group. She was one of the first ones to see the Antler Queen as well. So could Natalie be worshipping Artemis, the goddess of hunt? We get a scene in episode 4 season 1 when her dad tells her it should be easy because she's already had blood on her hands. Could that have been a sign from higher power? And he also says that it's waiting for them as well. And we also have the scenes where we see the bear walk up to them and just offers himself for food, and that could be another sign from one of these deities or entities as well, because it does say that Artemis is the goddess of wild animals, nature, and the moon as well. So it could be. But it also says that Artemis protects women during pregnancy, and it also says that she is associated with childbirth and vegetation. But she's the daughter of Zeus and Leto. She is one of the few virgin goddesses in the Greek mythology. So maybe the Greek mythology connections are purely inspiration by the authors of the show. But all of the Greek mythology connections that we've been seeing and talked about in this video, they seem to directly tie in with what's going on in Yellowjackets. And like I said in my previous video on Yellowjackets, all this could not be what's going on at all. They could just have embodied their bestial side and purely survived off their instinct, going full feral. And I am excited to see how season 3 will go. It seems the group will split, and to connect what we have talked about in this theory, maybe that each group will have different ways on how they hunt and eat their prey or humans, and both groups will have those ritual like ceremonies probably, and maybe those will be different between the two groups as well, showing that each group is being guided by a different entity or god, like I had talked about in this video. But let me know what y'all think about all of this. Could I be completely wrong? I mainly wanted to talk about how the bee priestess connect to Yellowjackets, and they seem like they're almost one and the same. But let me know what y'all think, and anything you guys want to add, or did I miss anything, let me know. And thank you guys for watching as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and seriously, thank you guys for watching.